Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be doing a part 2 to how I edit all of my sports photos. In this video, I will be using all of my personal presets that I do sell on my website, so if you want to go check those out, you can go to my website down in the description to purchase those. So for you today, I do have about 11 to 12 photos I'm going to edit for y'all just to show y'all how I go about my editing process and my personal style used with my presets. Again, you don't really have to have my presets to get this style, but you can apply these tips to your editing style and your shooting style, and hopefully that will help you. Boom, so I'm currently editing this video right now, and I realized I forgot to mention one kind of big / small thing. When I'm talking about adjusting the reds, adjusting the oranges, adjusting the blues, I'm talking about the color mixer panel in Lightroom. They have it in Lightroom CC and in Lightroom Classic. So you can adjust the hue, saturation, and luminance of each color, whether that's blue, teal, green, red, orange, all the colors in the color wheel, you can adjust the hue, saturation, and luminance of. So just so you know, when I say that, that's what I'm talking about. You can scroll down on the, what tab is it? Let me look. I forget what tab it is, but it's somewhere in Lightroom. It's pretty easy to find. So just so you know, that's what I'm talking about. That's one of the most important things for me, at least, when editing my photos. So just so you know, just to clear that up in case there was any confusion, that's what I'm talking about. So again, I wish I didn't have to have that blurred side, but that's just to protect me. So hope y'all understand that, and again, leave a comment if you have any questions, and appreciate y'all. So boom, as you can see, we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pictures that we're gonna go edit through. We got football, baseball, basketball. We got some like lifestyle sports type things, pre-game, post-game, during the game, all that type of stuff, different lighting conditions. So got a good mix of everything. So first off, we will start with, let's start with this photo. This picture is probably my favorite that I did of the whole year. And so we had, this was like during a pre-game little, like right before the game, right after pre-game. First thing I like to do is I like to make sure everything is straight. So I'll go in and just auto do it. And if that looks about right, that looks good to me. I don't want to cut off any feet, so I don't want to cut off this guy's feet right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make this a little bit skinnier, so maybe see what 16:9 feels like. If I like the look of that, then I'll do that. I like that. This was shot at 24mm, so it is kind of a little distorted at the lines. You can see it's kind of, you know, not the most straight thing, so trying to get it all good is going to be a little bit tricky. But something like that is pretty good. Again, I could probably spend a little bit more time, but that looks good to me. So boom. So I'll go ahead and go to my presets. My favorite one is probably going to be Fresh Air 1. That's just my go-to one. And as you can see right off the rip, it doesn't look too bad. It's a little bit under exposed though. So I'm going to go ahead and raise that exposure a little bit. Maybe raise up the highlights to make those whites pop a little bit. Also, you can see a little bit too much blue in their jerseys. I want to warm that up a good little bit. And boom. And typically, as I bring my orange up, I'm gonna want to raise this magenta up as well. Perfect. Maybe decrease the contrast a little bit. I like a good bit of contrast in my pictures, but I don't like too much. So boom. And I also I want that orange to pop, and I want that blue to pop. So I'm gonna raise the saturation of that blue up a teeny tiny bit. Boom, just like that. I have this blocked out on the video just so you know you don't steal my presets for obvious reasons. And also I do like, since this is backlit a little bit, I am gonna decrease that clarity just to give it a little bit of a glow and kind of see how that looks. As you can see, some of the white is just coming off a little bit blue. So I'm gonna maybe increase the whites or increase the highlights a teeny tiny bit, maybe increase the exposure, something like that. And then I'm also gonna make those blues just a little bit darker, just so on their pants it shows and on this back pad. So boom, something like that is what I'd probably go for. Maybe make everyone look a little bit more tan, or increase the saturation on the orange. Something like that is what I would go for, just like that. I like how that looks. And yeah, this was shot on an A7S III, so it's 12 megapixels, nothing crazy. But boom, there you go, just like that. So that's that one. Let's go to, boom, this is also one of my favorites from, this is like from 2022, I think. So boom, here we go. First off, just kind of off, this is my fault, this is just off You know, I want to be in the middle. Usually I don't like to crop. That's just a thing I do with my shooting style. I usually like to shoot for the edit, or, you know, shoot, like, get it right perfectly in camera as much as possible. But here I just botched it, but it's okay. So I'm gonna crop that. This is like the most I'll ever crop, is something like that. Boom, just like that. And then I'm gonna go and add, let's just add fresh air 2. Boom. So as you can see right off the rip, a little bit too overexposed. I'm gonna bring down that exposure just like that. And I want this to be kind of like a grungy, like Adidas, Nike, Under Armour type of vibe to it. So I'm gonna bring down maybe make a little bit more contrasty, bring down those shadows. Definitely increase the temperature a little bit. So probably something just like that. And I also want my greens to, in this picture, preferably, I want my greens to look green, not come off yellow. So I'll maybe go down to the greens or yellows and play with these color mixer sliders. This is your favorite friend. This is your best friend as a Lightroom editor or picture editor, photographer. There's the word. This is your favorite friend, color mixer. So boom, something like that. I want it to give it that Nike football vibe. Comes off a little bit too smooth for me. I'm maybe gonna add some texture, which I usually don't do at all. So be careful with these sliders down here. Maybe increase the texture a little bit. Maybe the clarity too. Maybe increase the dehaze. But you don't want to go crazy with these sliders. You just want to add it. You want to be tasteful with it. So boom, that's good right about there. Go back and play with these little sliders again. So boom, right there is good. And I also want to have a decent highlight roll off, and I want to have a good amount of dynamic range. So what I'll do is I'll go select the sky here, and boom, I'll kind of bring that back just a little bit, just to give it, you know, the illusion of a high dynamic range photo. So boom, just like that, we'll go from before and after. Pretty good picture to me. So boom, so this is Western Carolina at Furman. This is a football picture. As you can see, super underexposed. I'm gonna go ahead and add, which one's the best one? The best one for this one, oh, they're all good, but I'm just gonna go ahead and go to Fresh Air 1 just because that's my favorite. Boom, as you can see, way too underexposed. So I usually, the reason I did this is because he's backlit and I want to save as much, information in the shadows, so I expose for the highlights. Or I want to save as much information in the highlights, so I expose for the highlights. So I'm going to increase that exposure like crazy. And as you can see, it just looks super washed out by now, or right now. Nothing's popping too much. I'm going to increase that contrast a little bit. Maybe increase the highlights and the whites, maybe decrease the shadows. And I want to get that purple to pop. So I'm going to go down to the purple slider. And as you can see, the saturation's down way too much. That's just how I like the preset. But I'm going to increase that saturation on the purple and increase that hue so to make the purple look purple and not blue. So boom, there we go, right about there. These pants are supposed to be like a off-white cream color. So I'm going to make sure that comes off that way. Right now it's reading as like yellow, green. So I'm going to try to increase the saturation and maybe bring it more towards the orange side, just like that. And I would say that's about good for me. Definitely a super contrasty photo. Maybe I might play with the clarity, see what that does, see if that makes it any different, see if that brings it alive in any way. I've been playing a lot with decreasing the clarity, not too much, but just to give it a little bit of the extra, like a pro mist filter feel. But maybe it could go without it, it could go with it, whatever. But I'd say that about right there looks pretty good to me. So then you could crop it 2x3. I've done that before. So you could do either one. But as you can see, before or after, before and after, boom, 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 boom. Looks pretty good to me. So we will transition over to, which one should we do next? Let's go soccer. Why not? Switch it up. So as you can see here, got my girl Kendall playing soccer. Let's see which ones looks best. Fresh Air 1, man. I'm telling you, that's the one to go. That's the go-to one right there. So boom, as you can see, just a little bit too green and just a little bit washed out. I want those blues to pop. So maybe a little bit too bright. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring those shadows down and see what that does. I also want to make my people look tanner than they do in real life. You can do that with the temperature and the hue and saturation of the oranges. I'm gonna bring that tint up a little bit. Boom, and I'm also gonna bring up that temperature to make it a little bit warmer. And as I do that, I want to bring up my tint to the magenta. Boom, just like that. And now I'm gonna go to my blues and make those blues pop a little bit more, just like that. I want to have a gentle highlight roll off as much as possible. And I want to make those blacks look black, and I want to make the whites look white. That's usually what I try to go for. So boom, I mean right there, that's pretty much it. Maybe if I were to do the clarity a little bit, see what that does. Maybe a little bit, I don't mind that. So boom, just like that. And those oranges are coming off a little bit too orange in my taste. So I'm gonna push it a little bit towards the magenta, and boom, just like that. That looks good to me. As you can see, before, after. These presets do just give you naturally a good highlight roll off, a good dynamic range, so you don't have to worry about that too much. Boom, this is South Carolina baseball. We're gonna go, we are going to add, well, let's just for shits, let's do Fresh Air 4. As you can see, it comes off way too bright. I'm gonna bring that down a little bit, and I just wanna make everything pop. So I wanna go to those greens and make those greens a little bit darker. Sometimes they read as yellow, it can be kind of tricky. Maybe bring those shadows down a wee little bit, maybe bring the blacks down. Maybe increase that temperature. Boom. A lot of this is just playing with the sliders, see what you like, see what you don't like. That's the best way to learn, is just by trial and error, in my opinion. Again, as you can see, picture-wise, everything's straight. You know, I shoot for the picture. I want to get everything right in the picture. I don't like to do a whole lot of cropping. If I did do a crop on this photo, it would be something like that. Just bring them in closer, but you know, I don't want to do that. So I like it just like that. So boom, as you can see sky, good highlight roll off, good dynamic range. So something like that is probably what I'd go for. Maybe make this back wall that reads as teal a little bit darker, just like that. And yeah, something like that is probably what I would go for. Perfect. As you can see, before, after. Looks good to me. What y'all think? And then, so we got that. Let's go to football. As you can see, different lighting condition, literally backlit. You can see this glare right here coming from the sun. This lens is very questionable. It's a good lens, but yeah, sometimes the sun flares are a little questionable on it. But here we go. You know what preset I'm gonna do? Fresh Air 1, automatically right off the rip. It looks pretty dang good. A little bit too cool for my taste. I want to warm that up a little bit, so I'll bring that temperature up. And I mean, boom, pretty much right off the rip. It looks good to me. I'll bring that exposure up just a little bit. Bring that shadows down just so the background isn't too washed out. Maybe might make it a little bit more contrasty in the back. Boom, I mean that looks pretty good. Boom, yeah, one thing with whites is I don't want these, sometimes with shadows and whites you can get, this can come off blue, so I want to make sure as much as possible to make it look realistic. I want to make these whites white and not come across as blue, like something like that, as you can see right there. So don't want to do that. I want to make it look natural but still make everything pop. So I want to make this blue pop. So I think I did a good job of doing that. Maybe if I did the dehaze a little bit, not too big of a fan of that. Boom, I think we're good right there. Increase the texture, yeah, something like that. I like that. I think that looks good. So as you can see, before, after, didn't have to do a whole lot to it. Again, if you want to go check out these presets, they're linked in my bio. So boom, here we go. This is James Island football. Another football. Actually, no. Let's do basketball. We'll do basketball. So boom, let's see which one looks best. Fresh Air 3, why not? Let's see what that does. As you can see, it comes off a little bit too warm. So I'm gonna bring down that temperature a little bit. Right about there is good for me. And I don't know, it just looks a little bit too flat, so I'm going to make it a little bit more contrasty. Maybe bring down those blacks, bring down the shadows, make it a little bit more contrasty. Again, as you increase contrast, you're going to increase your saturation of every single color, so just keep that in mind as well. And I mean, honestly, I'm kind of liking that, if I'm being honest. This was shot at a pretty high ISO, I believe, at 4000 ISO, and as you can see, it's loading. This is a picture from Forever Good. There's a decent amount of grain, but nothing like too crazy to where it's bad. I don't like to use a whole lot of denoise. I'm not a personal fan of it unless it's like super bad. I will use it, and I'll use the AI denoise, but other than that, won't use a whole lot of denoise. So boom, straight like that. I like it. Got that blue to pop, but also this white looks white, so that's a good thing as well. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that outcome right there. So boom, we also got, this is Nick Castellanos. He plays for the Phillies, and we're gonna go with Fresh Air. Boom, comes off a little bit too blue. I want to make this warmer. This is like a ranch, so I wanted to go for like a ranch western type of vibe, a little bit more warmer. And as you can see, as I increase that temperature, it looks a little bit too green, so I want to increase the magenta as I go warmer. Typically, that's what I like to do when editing pictures. So boom, got the shadows. It's all just playing with it. Boom. Maybe go to the orange, make the oranges just like that. See what playing with the grass looks like. I want to make the grass a little bit desaturated. Boom. See what playing with the clarity would look like. Doesn't do a whole lot. Bring up those whites. Boom, just like that. Maybe see what this vignette, if I were to go to lens corrections, that does a decent little bit. Brightens it up a little bit more. Boom, something like that is what I'd go for. That might look a little bit too magenta for me. Something like that, and then also I want to have a good dynamic range, so I'll go to the sky, and then just bring that down a little bit, and maybe make that sky pop a little bit. So I'll bring up the saturation of the sky. Nothing too crazy. You want to make it look realistic, but again, just enhance each photo a teeny tiny bit. So boom, just like that. That wasn't the original edit I had, but it's pretty dang close. So as you can see, before, after, before, after. The goal is you want to make your photos look realistic to life, but just enhance it just a tiny bit. That's my style, and I think that's what these presets do. So, yeah. So let me see. I'll do one or two more. We'll see. So we have here football. Let's go to Fresh Air 1. Boom, right off rip. Looks good. A little bit too cool for me. You can see these whites. They look white, but they look a little bit too cool for me, for my taste. So I'm going to increase that exposure. Boom, there it starts to go, and then a little bit too dark. So I'm going to bring that up, bring down those shadows, so I'm not introducing all that noise. Boom, maybe increase that contrast. Boom, just like that. Off rip, man. I'm a pretty good little editor, man. Boom, maybe I might play with the sky. I don't even know. I mean, it's already a contrasty photo, so it might look a little bit weird. Yeah, it doesn't do nothing, so disregard that. But boom, just like that. I mean, it's applying a couple edits, white balance, and then you're good. So boom, that's that. You can see the before and the after. Pretty dang good in my opinion. Well, maybe you could play with the clarity a little bit. It's up to you. I usually do like to decrease the clarity just to, again, give it like that bloom effect, but it's personal preference. So here we go. Last picture is this basketball picture. Let's go ahead and add, every single one's gonna come off a little bit too cool, but Fresh Air 1's my go-to, so that's just what I'm comfortable with. I'm gonna go ahead and increase that exposure a tiny bit, and definitely decrease that temperature. Boom, to where those whites look white and it doesn't look too cool. Boom, just like that, man. increase the whites. I want to kind of make it not as contrasty, so decrease the contrast, but also decrease the shadows. Maybe a little bit. Boom. And I also want people to have my people look at least a little tan as possible, especially these white people that look hella washed out. I'm gonna try to help them out a little bit, you know? Boom, I think that's good right there. I think something like that is pretty dang good in my opinion. If I were to go to clarity. Yeah, I'd say something like that. Maybe decrease the vibrance a little bit. Maybe that might help. Yeah, that did help a little bit. Yeah, I'm liking that. Maybe, oh, you know what I'll do? I'll actually increase the saturation on the blues. Make those blues darker. There it is. I like that a lot better. So here we go. Before, after. Maybe go to the yellows. Maybe increase that yellow. See what that does. Yeah, I'm digging that. I like that a decent little bit. So there you go, guys. Perfect. Before, after, as you can see, works on multiple different sports, actually I didn't do that one, but that one would work too. We'll go ahead and do that one. Fresh air speed run, watch this. Boom, boom. Boom. This might be a little bit harder than I thought. Actually, it won't. Watch this. I don't like that blue on his jersey, so I'm gonna decrease saturation on that. Boom, perfect. Look at that, man. I'm too good. Maybe increase that contrast a little bit. Increase the exposure. Boom, just like that. And then I could go to the background. See how all that sky is blown out. You could, if you wanted to, decrease a little bit, but it doesn't look right, so I'm not gonna do that. You could just do the sky if you wanted to as well, but it's all personal preference. So boom. As you can see, guys, look, works on a bunch of different sports, bunch of different lighting conditions in the shade, backlit in the shade with the sun peeping out behind. I didn't end up doing that one either, but it's okay. Overcast, sunny, sun shining right down, in the shade at sunset, super backlit, works for every single lighting condition. But that's kind of my editing style, and I hope that helped y'all understand how I edit my pictures and what I think is best for editing sports photos. Again, it's all up to you. But again, what I like to do is make it look true to life, but then just add a little bit of enhancement to the colors and stuff like that. So again, hope that was helpful. This is kind of a part 2 of a video I did a couple years ago. And it was my most popular video, so I do appreciate y'all tuning in to that one and tuning into this, and like, subscribe, do all that stuff, and I greatly appreciate it. And I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.